And welcome back to Zone 4, everybody. I am Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzogoose, back with you for another episode of the Zone 4 Comic Countdown. This is episode 4, talking about books that came out on January 28th, 2015. This week, I only had a chance to read 11 books before the countdown was due, and before Comic Frontline's live show. So, on this countdown, there are only 11 books. That's not all I got, but that's all I was able to read. So, let's start at the bottom. Of course, you already, if you have seen the Comic Frontline live show, you already know what my bottom pick is, but I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see on the screen, it is Batman number 38. And this issue, it was just really slow. There was a lot of information in this issue, a lot of just basically a dialogue and info dump in this particular issue. And it was a lot of science-y stuff towards the middle of it. I think it started off okay. You know, we're used to a lot of exposition in Batman books, a lot of inner narrative, and we got that here. But it was a lot of science-y explanation throughout the middle to the end of the book. There was this whole thing with the Joker, almost this legacy thing that I personally didn't care for. We talked about it a little bit on Frontline Live, how the Joker is one of those characters where we never need to know his origin. We don't need to know his history. We just need to know that he is crazy, insane, and he's obsessed with Batman. That's all you need to know about the Joker. We don't need all this background info. And so, yeah, I mean, the art was pretty good in it, but I don't know. It was just very boring and very, very slow. I give this book 3 out of 5. So that's why Batman number 38 comes in at number 11. Coming in at number 10 is Inhuman. Make sure it's okay. Yeah, Inhuman number 11. This book was actually enjoyable, but it was very disjointed. The previous few issues have been really good, really strong for me personally, and the art was still solid here. It wasn't quite as polished as previous couple of issues, in my personal opinion. And the whole thing with Medusa having to be normal and talk to somebody just to let it all out was just a little. I get the sentiment behind it, and I appreciate what Charles Soule was trying to do, but just the whole story kept jumping from this to this to this to this, and it was very disjointed. It did not flow smoothly for me in this particular issue. Still, I like the elements going on. I like Rhea and this girl, I cannot think of her name off the top of my head, but I like that subplot in the story. I like that Medusa has to be called back because now there's a war coming to Adelon, or New Adelon, and I think it's it's been heading somewhere really interesting, and now it's getting there, and especially with I'm not going to spoil it, but especially with the ending of this issue, which was really good, and that's why it still was enjoyable for me. So this one gets a 3 1/4 star for Inhuman number 11, coming in at number 10. So coming in at number 9 is Thor number 4. And we still don't know who this new Thor is. I really did enjoy this particular issue. I love the interaction between the two Thors, Odin's son and the female Thor. They finally meet. Thor gets his metal arm, which is made from Uru. It's the same foundry that made Mjolnir, and it kind of plays into Jason Aaron's whole story in the other Thor series, which I cannot. Was it the Mighty Thor? Or this? I don't know. Anyway, I think it was the Mighty Thor. But where future Thor is missing an arm. So it plays into this whole thing, and we learn definitively that this new Thor is not Thor's mother. So that's one name we can cross off the list. My bet is still on Jane Foster, but we'll see what happens. But overall, this was a really good issue. It was decently drawn. I do agree with what Jay said on Comic Frontline Live, was that all the men in Asgard seem to be just a little bit whiny lately, and that does take you a little bit out of it, because Thor's not supposed to be that kind of character, but he has gone through some deep things, and we don't know. There's all this stuff he's found out. He has a sister. He's no longer worthy to hold Mjolnir. So it's a lot of things going on, but it was still a really good issue. I gave Thor 3.5 out of 5, 3.5 stars out of 5, and that's Thor 4, which lands at number 9 on the countdown. So moving on to number 8 is Effigy number 1. This book is that's not Effigy. Oh, I'm sorry. Effigy number 1 is not number 8. Wolverine's number 4 is number 8. I forgot. Totally looked at my list wrong. Wolverine's number 4, the weekly series. This was actually a really good issue. This issue and last issue were really good. I like this character, Phantomelle. I know in the last countdown I mentioned, like, I don't know who this character is, why is she here, and that's why it was lower on the countdown. And again, it's lower because there were actually some really good books this week. But Wolverine's 4 was more in that Phantomelle story. The characters, again, seemed like themselves as opposed to those first couple of issues. And especially that first issue. And I like the whole subplot of hiring Phantomelle. Now, speaking of disjointed, this issue also was very disjointed. It jumped from Sinister to Phantomelle to various different characters and little subplots throughout the issue rapidly, and it seems to be a problem that Charles Soule is starting to have. Actually, I think he and Ray Fox co-wrote this issue. I could be mistaken, but I don't know. There's not enough flow, and it's very choppy. And again, that's why it landed a little bit lower on the countdown this time. But overall, I'm really enjoying the Phantomelle sub-story in this, and now she's become part of the larger story. The larger story. So it's very interesting to see what's going on with her. But Wolverine's number 4 for me also gets a 3.5 or 3.5 because it was really good, and that's why it comes in at number 8. Number 7. Got off the thing. Sorry about this. Come on, can't see it. There we go. Sorry about that. Number 7 is Effigy. Number 1 by Tim Seeley. This is a Vertigo book. Mature audiences, beware, because there is some very suggestive content in this book. But this is a very interesting take on. Well, not even a take. It's not a superhero thing at all. It's an interesting commentary on social media and celebrities and the whole world that we live in now, because the main character is a former child star who was on a very popular children's sci-fi show, and this character is now back in her hometown. She is a cop, and she tries hard not to be recognized because her mother had suggested that she make a sex tape to shed that childlike image that she used to have on the show, Star Cops, I think it was called. And then her career just kind of went nowhere from there, and now she's back home, and now there's this mystery unfolding that is tied to her because a fan of hers is found dead, and we don't know what's going on, but we know there are other super fans of hers in this town, and now that she's been on TV and she's been discovered, it's a murder mystery with this whole celebrity thing. There's a lot of really on those mentions, little art teases like to certain celebrities that we know very well, like we mentioned on Frontline Live. So it was a really solid issue. It was just a lot more mature content than I personally care for. So that's why it landed a little bit lower, but it was really a solid book, and this one gets a 3.5 stars out of 5 for me as well, for Effigy number 1, landing at number 7. Coming in at number 6, barely missing the top 5, is Gotham Academy number 4. This is a fantastic series as well. Another book chock full of mystery, which I personally love. I love the art style here too. This book is just fun. These kids feel like kids, but they are they're mature enough to be able to follow clues and decipher things in their own way, and it's kind of interesting to see them go through this and who they interact with. in this issue, who they find has been, or at least Olive finds has been hiding behind the walls, and who has a connection to her mother, and all these other elements going on. Some of this mystery and some of the supernatural stuff turns out not to be so real, and some of it, we don't know. So it's just a very fun mystery series that I'm really impressed with, and I hope we get to see more and more of this series. And that's why Gotham Academy #4 for me gets 3 3/4 stars. Actually, no, it gives 4 stars. I'm sorry, I didn't give anything 3 3/4. This one gets a 4 stars for me. It comes in at #6. Coming in at #5, and this is my top 5, which you know from watching Comic Frontline Live if you did. If not, here is my top 5 for this week. Deathstroke #4. Making sure I'm right on task this time. Deathstroke #4 is a fantastic issue of this series. The art is top notch. It's fantastic. We get a little team up between Deathstroke and Harley Quinn towards the end of this issue. We learn more about who, kind of what Deathstroke's mission is now. It involves his father, and we get some answers from Bronze Tiger and this other person that turns out to be a female, and that whole thing. We find out somebody that was presumed dead is now alive again, and Deathstroke is now back in Gotham, and as the issue ends, he's facing off against Batman, and it's a great build up, fantastic art, fantastic dialogue, great movement in the story, and just a fantastic issue of the series. So Deathstroke #4 lands at #5 and gets a 4 stars from me. So coming in at #4 is SpiderMan 2099 #8. Again, fantastic issue. I personally love the interaction between Lady Spider and Miguel, aka Spider-Man 2099. I think these two play off each other so well, even though they come from completely different worlds. And I love that aspect because Miguel comes from the future and Lady Spider comes from a Victorian era. And so these two meshing and coming together, and with their completely different perspectives on the world, but somehow it works and somehow they gel together. And I love that they fight the Six of Sinistry, which they have a little fun with that. It's the Sinister Six in steampunk style, and it's just a really fun issue of the series. I really enjoyed the art. I love the take on Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus and the various other characters, and this whole Voltron-esque, Power Rangers-esque robot that they're putting together that led into Spider-Verse. I thought it was a fantastic issue, and it gets 4 1/4 stars for me for Spider-Man 2099 #8, coming in at #4. So we're into the top 3. Coming in at #3, Nova #26. This book brought this issue brought this book back on track. I feel like it had lost its way a little bit, especially with the Axis stuff and other things that had to tie into, but this one brought it back on track. It brought it back to Earth, grounded Sam a little bit more like he had been in the past and in the early issues of the series that made us fall in love with it. He's dealing with his whole family stuff now and trying to kind of take it easy because he's had these multiple concussions. He's getting better in school and stuff, but Carnage has to stick his nose in, and Carnage, who was very much in character, unlike we've seen him in recent memory, and he has to defend the town against Carnage, and defend his family against Carnage, and all this stuff, and it's just this fantastic battle between the two. And the art in this book was absolutely fantastic. The only nitpick, which we mentioned on Frontline Live also, is that in some of the panels, Sam looked a little bit older than he should. But aside from that, it was just fantastic issue. Love this issue. 4 1/2 stars for Nova #26 for me. At #3, coming in at #2, Batman Eternal #43. Again, this issue kind of brought this series back into the forefront for me, because actually the past couple of issues have done this as well, but it's kind of been steadily going up and up. This issue though was so much fun. You had Bluebird, and you had Stephanie Brown, you had Red Robin in this, and they're all coming together and interacting, and it's like the Batman kids on their own, and they were completely in character. There was this whole connection between Stephanie Brown and Catwoman that I really enjoyed. The art was stylized, but I really loved the stylized aspect of it, and the colors just really meshed well with that particular art style too. And I just love the development of Stephanie Brown and Catwoman in this thing, this reveal of the Bruce Wayne, or somebody posing to be Bruce Wayne, is behind all this. And Bluebird and Stephanie Brown kind of becoming quick friends towards the end of this issue. I just thought, I loved this issue, and I thought it was fantastic, and I wish the entire series was like this issue, and I hope it remains this way, because this series has been very inconsistent throughout. So hopefully it will maintain the fuel that it has right now to carry it through the end. But Batman Eternal number 43, coming in at number 2, gets a 4.5 stars out of 5 for me. Coming in at number 1, though, which was a surprise to many, is Uncanny Avengers number 1. This it's written by Rick Remender, who also wrote the previous volume, I guess you'd say. I don't know why, but this issue kind of hit all notes for me, and I know it involves the High Evolutionary and all that. I kind of dropped off New Warriors after the first handful of issues, because it got away from me. It started getting worse and worse, and I couldn't, being a huge New Warriors fan, I couldn't keep reading it because it was bothering me how down the wrong road it was turning. So I kind of dropped it, and I didn't read the previous volume of Uncanny Avengers, so I didn't have any of that. I haven't read either of those books in a long time. So coming into this, it was a new number 1 issue, new team, new dynamic, new story. They're in a new place. So it was, I don't know, it was fresh for me, this issue, and I love this team, because it's like the next wave of Avengers. I don't like Brother Voodoo. Something about his character just does not appeal to me. But I love that, you have Captain America, Falcon. You have Rogue on this team. You have Vision, who is the best written Vision I've seen in a while, because he's more humanized, even though he doesn't have any human aspect in him, because Wonder Man was trapped in Rogue, and we see something happen with that later on in this issue. And they're on the search for Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and they go into Counterworld, and then there's the whole High Evolutionary stuff goes on there, and it's just a really interesting premise for the first arc of this book. And like I said, I like the team, the members, the characters. I love the way that they were written. And the only nitpick I have really is Brother Voodoo's parts, which I could take or leave, and the fact that they're trying so hard to pull Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch from the mutant origins, or from the Magneto origins, because the whole movie stuff and everything, whatever, retcon this, retcon that, whatever. But that's a nitpick. I don't know, whatever reason, this book just spoke to me. It really stood out, and I really enjoyed it. I love the art in this book. I love the story. I love the dialogue. I love Rogue taking charge, and Falcon trying to find his way as the leader of this team. So yeah, that's why this one comes in at number 1, and it also gives a 4.5 stars. No perfect book for me this week, but a lot of great reads. So that is the countdown for this week. Tune in next week for another episode of the countdown. I will be taking these live on Wednesday mornings ish from now on, because I never read in time to get them up on Tuesday before the live show. So you can tune in here on Wednesday morning to get my full countdown list. So don't forget, the Zone 4 podcast returns this Friday. It will be on the usual channels: comicrelated.com, Comic Frontline's YouTube channel, iTunes, Stitcher, comicspodcasts.com. All the regular places you'll find it. Next week, Ron's show, Airship Zone 4 Presents Airship 27, debuts probably Wednesday, and then the new cast for Zone 4 will be the following week. Mike Spider Slayer and Chris Ventura from Comic Frontline joining the cast for. Sorry about that, everybody. Camera ran out of juice apparently, or the whatever. Anyway, the new cast will be on episode 302 that airs on February 20th. In between, we've got Hit Points coming back, Hall of Toys, right here on the Zone 4 podcast channel. We've got Epic Rewind, and as the laptop goes off too, we'll just close that. And It's a Podcast, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's a Podcast returns to Chris Ventura's channel. All this stuff will be on zone4podcast.com as well. So tune in for all that. Lots of great stuff coming up for Zone 4, and the schedule will be up by Friday on the Zone 4 podcast website of all the programming that you can expect from Zone 4. And all the audio podcasts will be in the main Zone 4 feed, so tune in for all that. And we will be debuting a new show, me and John, later in the month right here, Good More Noon Tonight, which will be a kind of a parody news show covering the latest news headlines and everything in fun fashion. So that will be right here on the Zone 4 Podcast YouTube channel, so be sure to tune in for that. But until next time, please check out zone4podcast.com, check out comicrelated.com, comicfrontline.com, Frontline Gaming Zone, Comic Frontline on YouTube, and like I said, tune back in here next week for another episode of the Zone 4 Comic Countdown. Until next time, everybody, thanks for watching. You are now leaving Zone 4.